You've been told to care, to show up, to prove you're worth loving. But what if I told you that the very thing you're doing to get closer is what's pushing him away? Here's the truth no one talks about. Men are naturally drawn to women who know when to take a step back. Not because they're cold, not because they're playing games, but because their energy quietly says, I don't chase, I attract. Think about it. How many times have you overgiven, over-explained, or over-texted only to be met with silence or emotional distance? It's not because you weren't good enough. It's because your presence became too constant, too available, too easy to predict. And for many men, the predictable fades into the background. But when a woman pulls back, not in anger, but in quiet self-assurance, something changes. He hears it in your voice. He feels it in your absence. The energy becomes lighter, more untouchable. You're not pouring all your energy outward anymore, and he notices the space you've created. In this video, I'm going to break down why detachment is so powerful, not just for attracting men, but for attracting a better life. You'll learn how to stop overgiving, how to silence the urge to prove your worth, and how to carry yourself with a grounded confidence that draws people in without needing to try. Because true attraction doesn't chase, it invites. And by the end of this video, you'll feel that shift within yourself. Detachment is the ability to care deeply about someone without losing your own identity. It means you can love without clinging, give without expecting, and show up without performing. It's the power to stay rooted in your own worth even when the other person is distant, inconsistent, or emotionally confusing. When most people hear the word disconnected, they think of someone cold, disconnected, or emotionally shut down. But that's not what it really means. Not when it's coming from a feminine, magnetic place. Detachment isn't about pushing people away or ignoring your feelings. It's about being so in control of your energy that someone else's unpredictability doesn't rattle your peace. When you're genuinely detached, you're not staring at your phone waiting for a reply. You're not overthinking every word he says. You're not trying to fix the vibe or make him choose you. Why? Because you've already chosen yourself. You believe your presence is enough. And if he doesn't see that, it's not your job to convince him. And ironically, that calm confidence is exactly what makes him start paying attention. Detachment opens space for him to feel your absence. It creates contrast between your light and his uncertainty. It lets him move toward you on his own without the pressure of being chased or emotionally managed. Many women confuse detachment with withdrawing, but they're not the same. Withdrawal comes from fear. Detachment comes from strength. When you withdraw, you shut down. When you detach, you rise. You maintain your standards. You keep your heart open, but your peace intact. And that's why it's so attractive to men. It's not that you're emotionally closed off. It's that you're no longer available to anything that doesn't match your worth. You're not acting hard to get. You simply are hard to get, because you've become selective with your energy, your time, and your heart. That's what makes detachment powerful. And once you fully embody it, you won't need to chase love. It will find its way to you. Let's look at one of the most powerful psychological truths in attraction. Men are drawn to what they can't control. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about becoming magnetic. It's about the natural pull that happens when a woman steps fully into her self-worth and protects it. The moment a man feels he's figured you out, the energy shifts. It's not that he stops caring, it's that the mystery disappears, the curiosity fades. But when a woman is emotionally balanced, unattached to the outcome and not trying to win him over, That's when he becomes even more curious. Men are biologically wired to pursue. It's part of who they are. They are drawn to mystery, to depth, to energy they can't fully grasp. When a woman is constantly available, always checking in, always trying to prove she's the one, she becomes familiar. And in dating, too much familiarity can dull attraction. But when you become the woman who doesn't panic when he pulls back, who doesn't feel the need to explain herself or keep him interested by overdoing, suddenly he can't stop thinking about you. Why? Because you've shifted the dynamic. You're no longer responding in the way he expects. You're no longer predictable. And that breaks his illusion of control. A woman who's detached isn't cold, she's emotionally complete. She doesn't fear losing him because she knows she won't lose herself. And that's rare. That's powerful. And to a man, that's irresistible. When a man knows exactly how you'll react, when he knows you'll always be the one to reach out, always the one to accommodate him, there's no urgency, no spark, no challenge. But when you're unpredictable, in a peaceful, grounded way, not to play games, but because you're living a full life, he starts to wonder, what's going on in her world that's more interesting than me? That's the question that keeps him coming back. That's when the obsession starts. He starts reaching out, not because you begged for it, but because your detachment created a gap. And that gap made him reflect on how much he wants to be close to you. So if you want him to show up more, stop trying to control everything. Don't overdo, don't overgive, don't beg for clarity. Let your energy pull back. Let your silence speak for you. Because the moment you stop needing to be chosen is when he starts feeling the need to choose you. There's a quiet power in a woman who doesn't hand over her emotional world to someone else. A woman who feels everything but holds herself with care. That's emotional distance, not coldness, but control. It means you can feel things deeply but not lose your balance. You're aware, but you don't chase. You care, but you don't fall apart when he pulls away. That level of emotional discipline is incredibly magnetic because it's rare, and men feel that difference. Most people, men and women, react emotionally in real time. If they're anxious, they send a text. If they feel insecure, they ask for reassurance. If they sense distance, they panic and overgive. That kind of energy is heavy. It signals, I don't trust myself to handle this. But a woman who's practiced emotional distance trusts herself. She lets her feelings come and go. She tends to them, reflects on them, and only responds when she's grounded. She doesn't offload her emotions onto someone else. She carries them with grace. And this is what makes her irresistible. She creates space. Space for the connection to breathe. Space for him to lean in. He doesn't feel smothered or emotionally managed. He feels calm, drawn in, curious. He feels safe but also challenged. He starts to think, why isn't she reacting like I expected? And that subtle shift draws him closer. The truth is, emotional distance teaches others how to treat you. When you're not available to every little whim, every mood swing, every unanswered text, you send a clear message. I take care of my energy, and I expect the same from you. That's rare. And in a world where most people are emotionally exhausted, that's unforgettable. So if you want to attract more than just attention, if you want real devotion, learn how to create emotional space. Don't rush to fix things. Don't rush to explain yourself. Let silence be part of your strength. Let him feel the shift. Let him miss you. A woman who owns her emotions without making them someone else's job, that's not being distant. That's being deeply in control. And yes, he will feel it. There's a certain kind of tired that comes from caring too much about someone who gives you just enough to keep you interested, but not enough to make you feel secure. If you've ever felt like you were doing all the work, trying to prove yourself, hold his interest, or fix the connection, then chances are you've been over-investing. And the painful truth is, it's costing you your glow. Over-investing isn't always loud or dramatic. It can be quiet. It can show up in small ways, checking your phone too often, making excuses for his inconsistency, ignoring your needs to keep the peace. It's answering right away even when you're busy. It's reshaping yourself just to keep him comfortable. One big sign is anxiety when there's silence. If his lack of response shakes your emotional world, you've attached your peace to his presence. That's dangerous because it means you've placed your center outside yourself. Another clue? You're doing all the emotional work. You plan the dates, start the conversations, try to keep the connection alive. You stay understanding even when your needs are ignored. That's not just over-investing, that's self-abandonment. You might also find yourself trying to be low maintenance, even when you're hurt. You pretend things don't bother you. You silence your standards. You think being easygoing makes you different, but what he sees is someone who tolerates too much. And slowly, your confidence fades. You don't shine like you used to. You feel tired, unsure, drained. That's not accidental. Overgiving depletes your feminine energy. It pulls you out of your natural light. You stop being playful. You stop feeling inspired. And the more you give, the less he values it. Why? Because it's not earned anymore. It's expected. That's the harsh truth of overinvesting. Otherwise, what you hope will bring you closer actually makes him pull away. He doesn't have to meet you halfway because you've already done all the work. And that's not love. That's imbalance. But once you see it, you can shift. You can stop texting first. You can stop justifying bad behavior. You can stop rearranging your world for someone who won't even confirm plans. A woman in her power doesn't chase. She doesn't explain her worth. She simply radiates. And the right man feels that and rises to meet it. I think you do. If this sounds like you, it's not about guilt or regret. It's about waking up. You're not clingy or crazy. You're just tired of giving with nothing coming back. Pull your energy inward. Let yourself glow again. Your light isn't gone. It's just buried under the effort of trying too hard. Breathe. Step back. Let yourself shine again. Because you were never meant to shrink to be loved. But out of understanding that you truly deserve more, he starts to see you in a completely different way. You see, the human mind is built to value things more when there's a chance of losing them. If something feels too easy or always available, there's no strong reason to hold on to it. But when you choose to step back, even just for a short time, you create space. That space forces him to think. He begins to wonder, wait a minute, what just happened? Why isn't she texting me? Why isn't she chasing after me like before? And here's the truth. When a man sees that you're doing fine without him, that you're okay walking away and living your life, he starts to understand that he can't control everything. He begins to see that you're not just another choice. You're someone who matters. Your value becomes obvious because you no longer rely on him to tell you how much you're worth. When you step away, you're showing him that you aren't emotionally hooked on the relationship. You're not sitting around waiting for his attention or approval. Instead, you're out there living your life, growing, becoming stronger. That absence isn't a rejection. It's a quiet invitation for him to look deeper within himself. But here's the important part. It only works when you step away with calm and dignity. It's not about walking off angrily or holding grudges. It's not about trying to prove anything or making him chase you just for the thrill. It's about gently stepping back because you know what you need. When you pull away, it should be clear that you're doing it for your own peace, not to hurt him. You're just not available for anything that's less than what you truly deserve. The second you pull back and stop overgiving, you stop needing constant attention or reassurance. You begin to live for yourself, not for the connection. That shift in energy is powerful. Suddenly, you're no longer the one doing all the chasing or trying to fix things. You're no longer stuck in a space of uncertainty, waiting for a message or a small sign that he still cares. Instead, you're moving forward with confidence, and that energy draws him in naturally. What happens when you walk away is that he begins to question how much he's truly invested. He'll ask himself whether he really wants to lose someone as meaningful as you. The space you create makes him think, remember, and even miss what he had with you. That's when the emotional shift begins. He starts to recognize your worth. But it's vital to understand that stepping away isn't some game. It's a way of honoring your own boundaries. If he couldn't see your value when you were giving your time and heart, maybe he isn't the right one. But if your absence makes him open his eyes, he will either rise up or quietly drift away. Either outcome, your self-worth remains the core of what comes next. Choosing to walk away isn't a loss. It's a step to protect your heart, your peace, and your sense of worth. And by doing that, you allow space for something more genuine to come into your life. If he really cares, he'll come after you in a more real and honest way. Because sometimes the only way to get someone to pay attention is to stop giving them yours so freely. Staying emotionally detached is a strong way to protect your identity, keep your emotional balance, and bring in the right kind of connection. But it's easy to fall into certain habits that slowly take away your power. These habits can make you feel stuck, confused, or even emotionally drained. So it's important to understand and avoid them before they take you off track. One major mistake is overthinking everything. When you're deeply into someone, it's easy to go over every message, every word, every pause. You try to find meaning in every small action, but doing this makes your mind restless and clouds your clarity. Detachment means letting things happen as they will. Overthinking or trying to figure out every detail just adds to your emotional neediness. And that's the opposite of staying grounded. Instead of trying to figure out what every word means, let things be. Stay present. Don't attach extra meaning to tiny actions. Another common mistake is explaining your feelings too much. When you feel ignored or left out, you might want to explain over and over again why you're upset. While it's good to speak up in relationships, explaining too much can sound like you're pleading for approval. If you always try to make him understand your feelings by repeating yourself, you're slowly giving away your emotional power. Real detachment means owning your emotions without needing someone to agree or approve. If something's bothering you, it's okay to say it, but don't feel like you have to keep justifying your feelings. Chasing after him when he pulls away is another big mistake. One of the most important parts of detachment is letting there be space. If he goes quiet or backs off, your first instinct might be to reach out again and again, hoping to fix things. But doing that only shows emotional neediness. Instead, step back and let things settle. Focus on your own peace and growth during that time. When you don't chase, you show him you have a full life, and his silence won't control how you feel. Detachment means knowing your value and letting him come to you if he genuinely cares. Another trap is thinking his behavior is your responsibility. You might think that if you do more, care more, or act differently, he'll act better. But that's not your job. If you take responsibility for how he behaves, you're handing over your power and putting yourself last. Detachment means being true to who you are, without trying to shape yourself to fit into someone else's life. You can't change him. What you can do is control your own actions, reactions, and limits. Sometimes when people try to stay detached, they go too far and become emotionally shut down. But detachment doesn't mean going cold. It doesn't mean turning off your emotions or becoming harsh. The difference is, detachment is a choice. It's about choosing where and how you give your energy. You can still be warm and kind without giving too much. If you become too cold, you may push him away in ways that aren't helpful. Being emotionally open is still important. It's just about balance. You give, but you don't lose yourself in the process. One more mistake that hurts detachment is slipping back into needy habits when things feel unstable. When you feel uncertain, it's tempting to go back to old ways. Texting too much, asking for reassurance again and again. But that's the moment to lean harder into your own strength. If you start clinging again, you stop being grounded. Instead, remind yourself of your value. Step back. Let things happen naturally. The second you stop feeding your fears and start trusting yourself, you'll protect your peace and keep your energy glowing. To keep your sense of detachment, focus on being rooted in who you are. Set boundaries that protect your emotional space. When you avoid these usual mistakes and stay truly detached, you keep your heart safe and open the door for the right person to come in and meet you at your level. The real truth is, becoming the kind of woman a man can't overlook isn't about playing games or trying too hard. It's about becoming fully yourself, stepping into your power, and standing strong in your own value. When you're the kind of woman who knows what she's worth and doesn't need anyone to tell her she's enough, you naturally become someone people can't forget. So how do you live with this energy? First, stop needing others to tell you you're good enough. When you let go of the need for approval, you turn inward. You stop depending on whether or not he texts you or how much attention he gives. You begin to trust your own decisions, your own truth, and your own goals. That inner peace is attractive. When you're not begging for attention, your independence draws people in. Next, build your life around what you love. A woman who is chasing her dreams, focusing on her health, her friendships, her goals, that woman gives off strength and passion. She's not sitting still waiting for someone to make her happy. She's already building a beautiful life. When you invest in yourself, you shine. And that shine makes you stand out. It tells others that you're not relying on anyone else for your joy. Another important part is being your real self. Too often we try to change for someone else, hoping they'll like us more. But when you stop pretending and show up exactly as you are, that's when you become unforgettable. You stop trying to impress and start simply being. And that honesty is what truly connects people. The more you accept yourself, the more you attract people who accept you too. Keep your emotional independence. That doesn't mean shuffling people out. It means not letting others decide how you feel. You know how to keep yourself steady. You know how to say no, how to take space, how to stay calm. This kind of emotional strength is rare and powerful. When your happiness doesn't rise or fall based on someone else, you become someone who's impossible to ignore. Also, let your natural energy lead. This isn't about being soft or passive. It's about leaning into your natural traits, kindness, care, deep feeling, intuition. When you show up with these qualities and still keep your boundaries, it's a beautiful mix. It draws people in, it shows confidence and warmth all at once. And finally, keep a little mystery. You don't need to share every detail right away. When you leave some space for someone to wonder, it keeps things exciting. Mystery isn't about playing games, it's about not giving everything up too fast. When you have your own life and keep parts of it just for you, you create interest. People want to know more. That quiet mystery is powerful. In the end, becoming the kind of woman who leaves a mark means respecting yourself enough to leave when things don't feel right. You're not scared to walk away when someone can't meet your needs. When you leave with dignity, you send a strong message. You know your worth, and you won't settle. That kind of confidence can't be ignored. You don't need to chase or beg to be seen. When you live with self-respect, focus on what matters to you, stay emotionally grounded, and live as your true self, you naturally become the kind of woman who is impossible to forget. And in that place of strength and clarity, the right person will step forward, not because you begged, but because you simply became someone worth choosing.